Good afternoon. Here it is, May 16th, en route, Stone Mountain High School for dismissal. Today I want to talk to all the young men and young women who play sports at Stone Mountain High School. There's a teacher there, Mr. Cyprian. He teaches technology. Most of the kids will pass through his classroom at one time or another. Mr. Cyprian have a problem with all the students there that play sports. So he fails all the football and basketball players. So students and parents, if you have Mr. Cyprian, or Mr. C as they say, at the school, you need to go to your parents and talk to your parents. If you've had him anytime this year and you received F in his classroom, your parents need to go and get that corrected. Mr. C will not pass a student that plays sports. And it's really sad because these young men go in, they do their work, they turn their work in, they have their work posted on their computers, and he say he don't have it. And the students that do go to their parents about it, and the parents go up and they talk to him, they have him to pull up their computers where he's giving them 12, 13 zeros on tests and all this stuff. And they said, well, here's the paper you're talking about right here. And he'll say, oh, I didn't realize that was there. Well, I'm gonna change the grades, or it's too late. Students have done papers, packages over and over and over in his classroom. I was in his classroom where a young man said, Mr. C, I've done this over 3 times. I stood right here. I talked to you about it. And I put it in your hand and you said, okay, we even discussed something I didn't understand on the paperwork. He said, well, I'm sorry, I didn't receive it. What did you do with it? And so he said, I gave it to you, I turned it in to you. He said, well, you're gonna have to do it again. The parents who are going in to see what's going on with their children's grades is going through the same thing. We had one parent who's been into 2 parent-teacher meetings with conferences with him, and he screams at her, get out of my class, get out of my class, you're a liar, I don't want you in my classroom, don't come back. What school were you allowed to do that at? Why do a teacher can throw a parent out of the classroom? So on Friday, Thursday, a parent had me to go in because I was standing in the hallway, had me to go into the classroom with them to talk to him about the grades that he was supposed to have corrected. She had went to the assistant principal, and the assistant principal went in, seen all the work on his computer, said that you're going to have to give him full credit for these, all the work he had done. And he said, well, okay, yeah. And so he didn't give him the credit that he deserved for it. So, well, I'm going to give him an 85. When the parent went back to speak to him and said, well, you gave him an 85 where you were supposed to give full credit where everything on his paperwork was correct. What happened? He told her, well, you better be glad I didn't give him a 70. And she said, how are you going to give him a 70 if that's not the grade that he was supposed to receive? He told the parent to get out of my room. I don't have to talk to you. I'm not talking to you. I just want you out of my room. And so the next time the parent going to talk to him, he said, we have it on video. Your son tried to fight me. He walked up on me and he was going to fight me. But everybody in the class said that was a lie, that he just went over. He had finished taking his test, and he asked him what he was doing, and he was sitting there quiet at his desk on his computer. And he told him, well, I don't want you in my room. And so he called the coaches in and told them that he was being a problem. And so this is ongoing. He sat there, he marked the athletes absent from his class, saying they're skipping his class, and they're sitting right there in his face the whole period. But some parents have already found out what he's doing So they make sure they go to his classroom. And the thing about it is, he still don't change the grade. And then the assistant principal, Miss I'm not sure of her name, but she said the problem with him is he's having problems doing inputs into the system. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of this conversation. He's the technology teacher. How do the technology teacher have a problem putting the grades in for the students? Now, if he's having problems, that would be the reason that the kids are failing, because he's teaching something other than technology. But students and parents, you can't check your portals, because when one parent went back and said, we just went through this, all the grades was there, and you looked at the grades, he said, well, I can't go back and look at them now because I had all the computers scrubbed clean. So any traces of the work that these young men and young women have done in his class, he's had removed off his computer, off their computer. So now you can no longer go in and say, this is the situation. But I think you can go above him, and that's really sad to say, because it's been taken, I'm sure, to the counselors. I'm sure it's been said to Dr. Jones, because they have other complaints there on him and none have been done. So why is it you have a teacher that's totally against the students, and he's still in your school? That goes back to say you have no leadership in the school. And that's why I am so adamant about Dr. Jones have to go. Dr. Cox have to go. Mr. Ward have to go. Superintendent Regional, Ms. Ziegler, have to go. Because nobody is holding none of these people accountable for anything that they do or don't do. It's just an ongoing situation where these kids don't matter. And they continue to be here and say, nobody's doing this, nobody's doing that, nobody's doing this. It's not the kids that's not doing what they're supposed to do. It's the people who's over the kids. And like I said before, Stone Mountain has some excellent teachers here. But the one like Mr. C, he's no good for nobody. He's not helping nobody, and he's another hindrance for our young men here at this school. So how much longer do these kids have to fail? And I think anybody in any who have had Mr. Ziegler that have an F need to go back, and he need to pass them. And the thing about it, he need to be fired, along with Dr. Jones, Dr. Cox, Mr. Ward, and also Regional Supervisor Ziegler. And so anybody who's not doing anything on Saturday morning, the 20th of May, at 10 o'clock, please come to the office at 3011 Rainbow Drive, NAACP office, Suite 108, because there will be a meeting there to talk about the demands that people have for their kids at Stone Mountain High School. Because these are some great young men and young women that need somebody to stand up for them. Thank you very much. This is Pamela Williams signing off.